Awesome. Good morning. Good morning, Kansas City. Good morning, Apex. Hey, Corey. Let me know what you're looking to get out of today. We had a lot of people come on last month, so it was really interesting to hear the variety of what we're looking to do. We got Mark. Mark, I want you to come on camera when you can. Mark is leading our community in Grid Tampa.
What's up, guys?
I like that one, man. You hit us with those uncle angles.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
No, we're good. We're good. We're good. So, Mark's been leading the community down in Tampa. I got a presentation I can run through, but I want to jump off with this. I guess I would say we'll get into why we're doing this and what's effective. I'll pull this up for us really fast here. One of the things I think it really starts, Rob's got this thing that he talks about. So Rob's the founder of Grid, and he talks about the 7 levels of freedom, we're calling it now. It used to be called the 7 levels of wealth. And what we're looking at is a pyramid. It's very similar if you took Psych 101, right? Or you've watched TikToks or anything, to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You've got your basic needs, security, right? Shelter. And you go, I did not take Psych 101. And then you get up to the top of that pyramid is self-actualization. We've got the same thing of like when you're doing these endeavors as an entrepreneur, the very base level is identity and mindset. So I'd say to build an effective community, I've really got to get clear on why do I believe in community? What do I believe community can do, right? Like what are my values around community? You know, like where do I see it lacking? So I'm curious for you, Mark, like, you know, you and I are both involved in I'd say a nonprofit organization. That's how we met, right? Got really involved in like the operational side of that and going to business meetings, et cetera. Like, so what's important to you about community? And we'll jump into this presentation.
So what's important to me about community is I would say enhancing relationships, right? And educating and also being teachable. So what we have with Grid is an opportunity to learn, to connect with other agents, other investors, other vendors, other people, right? We also have this opportunity to talk, and you talked about this a lot when I attended your Grid meeting, or I should say the anniversary party in Knoxville. And you talked a lot about what you've been able to do for the betterment of the community as a result of Grid. And you talk a lot about sort of generating wealth through charity, right? So I think that's a super important point that like sometimes gets lost in the message, right? And I've been guilty of like, you know, at the end of my meeting, perhaps like glazing over some of that stuff when everybody looks bored or they're already shaking hands and trying to make connections and talk to, you know, the title agent or somebody else. So yeah, I mean, it's kind
No,
of.
I love I think that's a great answer. And then, you know, I think basically we'll jump into this. I want to show you some things. I think there's a good framework that makes some sense. And we'll stop for some questions. If anyone's got questions, right? I'm here to answer everyone's questions that are on the call. So if you got some specific questions, we've got Grid staff on, ask them, they'll flag me, Julianne, Brittany, let me know if someone does that. But yeah, Corey, Melissa, Latrice, I'd love to get an idea of what you're looking to accomplish, what made you jump on the call today. I'm going to give you a basic framework on how to create community, how this is, and this is a scalable framework. So within Grid, we've got some systems and models. We've been doing this long enough of like, how do you do this systematically, right? And one of the models we go off is off of Chick-fil-A. Anybody been to Chick-fil-A?
Never heard of it.
Decent service, decent consistency, right? So they've got a specific framework where they teach their, you know, they got great management training. Mark and I both worked for Publix, actually. Publix has incredible culture, incredible management training. It's a grocery chain based out of Florida, employee owned, and it's everyone in management is like started as like a deli counter clerk or a stock boy or like right working a register or something. and work their way up. That's my understanding, right? Mark, maybe they hire for someone else, but like it's an internal culture, and you've got great leadership training, right? So one of the things that Chick-fil-A does is a serve model, they call it. And so when we're running a community, we got these 10 principles of great leadership. So there's some frameworks that are replicable, regardless of what you're looking to do and how you're doing it and getting clear on why you're doing it. I don't know if I had a clear why when I first started, but today we're talking about how to build a thriving real estate community. So if you jumped on this call, here's how you know if you're in the right room. Do you have a passion about creating wealth through real estate? I believe very sincerely, right, that real estate is one of the last meritocracies available to us in our country. The American dream is alive and well if you are an entrepreneur. Small business ownership and real estate investing, right, are both totally viable pathways to freedom. I see Mark nodding, and I have seen people come here, the immigrant success story in our lifetime that are coming here, that are working hard, that are saving, that are owning businesses and owning real estate investing and having great success, right? Just working with somebody who's a Syrian refugee in my community, who's doing well. He's made a lot more of his time here than I have, in a short amount of time. It's been really amazing to see, and he actually won. I think it was Reader's Digest and the Today Show during COVID named his restaurant locally the nicest place in America. Pretty cool to see. Talk about building community. If you want to grow your database with real estate investors, builders, developers, so you can do multiple transactions, what we're really talking about, if you want to build long lasting, meaningful, productive relationships, right? That's what the short version of that is. If you're an agent and you want to help clients build wealth, like this is a great community. We're gonna give you some tools today. If you want to learn about growing influence, which I think we all should. I heard this said the other way. We all know what manipulation is, right? The inverse of that, the counterpart of that is influence. A role model, teacher, coach, parent, they have influence over you. Your peers, hopefully you've got some aspirational peers that are pushing you to do better, right? They've got influence over you. We want to have influence over other people, right? That is a great natural way. If I grow my influence, to Mark's point, that's what you're saying. Hey, we poured into charity. We have the reason we've been able to create wealth by doing that is like, I found this out accidentally in trying to promote a charity. It turns out like when you're trying to really promote a charity, you naturally have to go find influential people in your community who happen to be successful and have wealth and have connections. And then when you uncover the needs in the community and you try to provide solutions for it, again, you put yourself in more positions to be influential. We're problem solvers if we're in the real estate investing space, regardless of whether you're an investor, a vendor, right, an agent, you're living in that world. One of the things that's been successful for us was we've been able to, as agents, by building influence, build in a referral network, add some verticals. Mark owns a property management company, so that's something he was already running, that kind of agent investor playbook. And I've been able to attract some talent to my world, right? Awesome. So, who am I? Why am I talking to y'all? So, I am a journeyman in the world of real estate. I started off in Tampa back in 2005. I was 23 years old. I just turned 23. I became a mortgage broker. So excited. Went to work for this company. They had 200 loan officers. My mom was an underwriter. She told me I should get into this. So I moved back to Florida. I was up in Tennessee. I moved back there. I got really excited. It's the end of 05. 06, the wheels are starting to come off, by the way, in the economy. Like we're losing lenders, like because we were a shop. So they're losing lenders, they're losing states. Things are getting weird. This office totally implodes and goes under. They're embezzling title funds, whatever. It was bananas. Like Florida, the wild, wild west. And so I had a front row seat to things breaking down. Got into property management, got into working with realtors, eventually became a transaction coordinator, done a lot of different things. Recently, back in 2021, I got involved with two things. I got involved with KW Young Professionals. I won this nice glass award. I got a cultural award for the country, which was pretty cool. And I got involved with Grid. And I started Grid with my partner, Corey. He's there with his hand raised next to me down here. Right. And I branded this community around Corey. I was running a real estate team at the time. And in 3 years, we've been able to do some really cool things. We were able to build out a lot of community around YP. In my community, that meant like teaching multiple real estate conferences, hosting events. Like we organized them national conferences right here. And we started a nonprofit called Pints for Purpose uh, out of that young professionals, out of our network. So a lot of things happened in a relatively short amount of time. Like in those 4 years, I've seen a lot of transformation. Actually, I want to say no, 3 years. We started this in June of 2021. So 3 years and like maybe 3.5 years. A lot of transformation. And over the years, Grid asked me to come in and be director of expansion. Up here is a men's group we started. I started that 3D, been really successful. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm talking to you about it. I am passionate about it, and I kind of 15 years into my career fell into that little niche of when your passion and your ability to make money and what you're talented at overlap. So we've got a real estate community in Knoxville of 1,500 members. If you looked at that 18 months ago, it was 145 members. So we've been growing that. Our meetup group has 563 members. So we've been able to build a really big community in a short amount of time in those 3 years. How did Grid get started, right? Good to see you, Isabel. Glad you jumped on here. Like, here's when we talk about teaching how to invest in real estate, what we're really talking about is how to problem solve. Would you agree, Mark? That's what you get paid for, is problem solving? High level problem solving at this point. Mark is
Yes.
a broker, he's my go-to when I was in Tampa for advice on investments, because he just lived in that space, in the management space, leasing space, selling these very interesting condo, right? In the wake of the
The
Great
collapse, yeah.
Recession. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like going through all that. But it comes down to problem solving. And this is no different. Rob's trying to solve a problem. Rob founded Grid. Rob's my business partner. So when we started this, our community was just like, all right, how do I build a database quickly? How do I get people to come to me so I can have one-to-many conversations? How can I find people that do more than one transaction a year? How do I add value to them? Again, we're talking about building influence. So how do I make myself value? The way I am able to get in a relationship with people is I add value to them first, and then there's a law of reciprocity. And then how can I actually keep investing? Because investing is where I'm getting off the transactional treadmill. So maybe I can just make a group. What if I just got everyone together? I'm good at, didn't really have a plan. He got that together, right? The reason I jumped into this is honestly because it's like I feel like I'm uniquely talented at getting people excited around and articulating a vision. Like people want to be involved in something bigger than themselves. Anybody been to a multi-level marketing pitch? Isabel, you've managed to avoid every multi-level marketing pitch in your life. No old friends have no old friends have reached back out to you just to connect. uh, what are they? They all sell like a vision. It's freedom, right? It's freedom. They've got the Mary Kay Cadillac. There's something going on that's so exciting that makes you want to just like, I'm going to join this discount club and buy product in my, right? Because it's going to get me to where I want to go. No different there. I thought, hey, I'm uniquely doing this. I think we can create a lot of impact. And I honestly think if you want to know why I really would do this is I think there are some big challenges in our country. I used to get really upset about them, whatever. And then I realized by getting involved in this investing community, I've accidentally found a way where like, oh, maybe the best way to affect social change is by giving people the tools to change their own financial freedom. And if I did that, we could make the world a better place and we could redress a lot of some inequities that are directly tied to housing, right? Housing gap, wealth gap. The best way to really address that is by empowering people, just like everyone on this call, to go out and be a wealth builder and create wealth builders in their community because it's open to anybody. There's no obstacles. There's just this gap to catch up on at this point, it feels like to me. So that's why I'm doing this. That's what's exciting about this for me. I think this map, ooh, is getting closer to getting updated. We just are launching a new community in Gaithersburg, Maryland. So that's coming. And we just launched one in LA last month. Nick Despeditis is out there. So if you know someone that I should talk to, let's talk about this. All right. How do you build an Asian investor community? Really, truly, if you're on this call, this is a live call. Let me know if you have questions. Genuinely, because or else Mark and I can have a conversation. So what are we doing? How can we do that? What are the steps? Here's cornerstone one if we're starting to take notes. I've got to create raving fans. I've got to create ambassadors. I've got people texting me that they're wearing the grid gear because they've come to our meeting. So how do I get people right to do that? What it really is I need to be a facilitator, right? I need to open this to everybody. To me, it is not a closed ecosystem. I'm not scared of other people. I'm not scared of other agents, right? It's collaboration over competition. And so we looked at this RIA model. They're relaunching the RIA here in Knoxville, kind of died, which is the RIA model. Has anyone been to a RIA? Have you been to one, Mark? No? You have? You're muted, bud.
Sorry. I forgot there was one I went to not that long ago, and you know, I wasn't a huge fan.
What was it like? Did they have a speaker? Did they have
They, sorry, I'm on a busy street out here. They
good?
do have a right across the street from an auto dealership. So they did have a guest speaker. It felt a bit more like everybody was trying to pitch everybody on something, you know. Um, and I don't like to be pitched. You know what I mean?
No.
So I'm in sales technically, but like I don't quite see it as the same. But anyways,
Yeah. Well, I know that we've been friends for a long time. Yeah, my job is not to be a guru. And frankly, when you stop trying to be a guru, like everything gets way easier because I can just ask questions, right? My job is to be the facilitator. My job is to know the guy. That's why, like, I'm not being humble when I work with Mark. I would call Mark because Mark had specialized in working in this condo market where like they had 500 units under management, or I'd have a question about a complex and he's like, yeah, we have 30 units under management. Buildings 1 and 2 were built here. Building 3 is like a condo conversion. It's weird. Like, I never lost credibility with my clients for being like, hey, let me call my buddy that is actually an expert on this. So my job, same thing on stage. When I'm creating a community, is just to be a facilitator, right? And give an overwhelming amount. And what we've seen is when we do that, you get this incredible buy-in from people in terms of community, because what we're talking about is like, how do I build trust? If I can build a high level of trust with people, like then things can really happen. That's where I start extracting some value. And there's some interesting math around trust. When we send out, Julianne, when we send out this recording to everybody, I want you to include this link, get it from me. There's a model I just was playing around with. It's a game, and it's called The Evolution of Trust. And it is a game theory game where you take turns playing a game, right? Where you're cheating. It's that prisoner's dilemma. If you both cheat, no one gets anything. Well, if you can steal, but if you both cheat, no one gets anything. And if you cooperate, you get a small, you get a small amount. And how do you do that inside of a community? Really, really cool if you're looking to build math, and there's some cool takeaways from it. So one of the first is I've got to like lead by example, be a facilitator, be a connector. So what we did to do that is what's going to be valuable to your avatar. I'm curious what y'all's avatars are, if you have an avatar that you're trying to speak to. Mark, who's your avatar? Who do you want to be in the room? And Isabel, I'm curious, Jason, I'm curious for the same question for you. Like, who do you want in the room as your avatar? Avatar is like, who's your ideal person to be in the room? What's of interest to them for you? What's the ideal person you want to be in that room, Mark?
So I imagine that probably changes on a given meeting or a given day,
Sure.
right? But like I want to, well, I'll say I want to be useful, right? Like to somebody in the room who maybe I've invited for a specific reason. Like I know there's a client or a friend of a friend or another agent that's working with somebody and there's a specific topic. Like for example, next month we're doing tax exchanges, 1031 exchanges most specifically, right? So who I would want in the room or I'd want to make feel the most invited. It's not exactly answering your question perfectly, but is I try to find people that it's going to specifically help or be of interest to.
Oh, so I love that. So you're kind of answering this in the same exact way. And Isabel, who do you want in your room? Like, what's your community like? Is it narrow? Is it really wide? Is it any, woman in the
It
marketplace? Is it female entrepreneurs? Is it even narrower than that? Like, who's your community you're trying to speak to?
well, it's specifically geared to women, and well, so that's that narrows it down. But also, I've been getting many women entrepreneurs, and obviously a lot of agents as well.
Yeah. So what we're looking to do is like, hey, who do I want to be in the room? What do I know is going to get them into the room? And so when we sat down, it's like, well, we know we're working with investors. What are the hooks? What are the most common hooks? What are the things that, we've tested these over time, so you don't have to, but what are the things that we know get people in? So when I start a new community and I go out and I help launch that, it's, you can do whatever. We'll work with you. We had this conversation, Isabel, we had this conversation with Mark. Here are the topics we know that are the most attractive to the investor community. When people see how to BRRRR, how to buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat, they show up for that because it's a sexy topic because it gets talked about incessantly on these podcasts, right? How to do short-term rentals, where to find the money, how to be the bank, how to wholesale. These are all topics that people, right, are researching. So we created some hooks. Once they're in the room, we're an open book. There is nothing where, like, I'm trying to give away as much information as possible. And frankly, I'll tell everyone, like, hey, if you want to do this, like, we can teach everything. There's 350 videos on my YouTube channel, right? Go watch them. We can grab coffee, because that's not like what I don't want to be teach. My goal is, can I get as many people as possible in the room, educate them on that topic, and then add value, like specifically. Well, okay, I gave you the playbook on how to buy a multifamily. Let's talk about a specific multifamily deal, right? So if you're trying to build a community, the first thing I would think about is like, what's going to be valuable to your community? Maybe you are the avatar for your own community, right? Well, who could I find to go communicate with around this? Does that make sense, man? What are some local experts that I could find that I want to talk to? And me leading this group of people, like, it could be as small as, right, Mark, hey, Mark, what if me and you did this, and we'll get 20 people in the room and we can go get every expert we want on Tampa. I want to go talk to the people that are shaping the development plan, or what's happening in the business district and what's going on there. Well, now we've got a community and a platform to go get in a room and ask those questions. And I have a feeling, I've been doing this long enough, the questions I have are going to make sense for everyone else that's in the room, right? So that's the first thing, is figuring out what hooks are going to speak. We've got some great ones here in Grid, right? But also, how do I find a subject matter expert to come in to facilitate the conversation, right? What that also does is it grows my database. Everyone that's here to see Mark because Mark is smarter than me, right, is now a part of my database. When I bring Isabel in, right, they're part of my database. I'm hijacking their audience. It's also a method. If you look at really skillful podcasters, what are they doing sometimes, right? They're bringing in guests that will bring in audience, and they're cross-pollinating. It's like exposing your audience to other people. What the skill you have to develop, though, is I've got to be a great facilitator, which is different than being a great speaker. I don't need the spotlight, right? My job as the host is to make my guest look really good, tell stories to spice up what they're doing, add value, right? If I can do that skillfully, that's really invaluable because that will keep people coming back, right? You could be amazing, but if it's all about you, like how much you do I need? Am I going to keep coming back for 17 years to hear more about Mark? Right? Rob's running his community for 17 years because he's a facilitator. If it was Mark Tech, there's some point where it's like, I don't need to listen to that anymore. I don't know if anybody listens to Joe Rogan. He's become somewhat controversial. I listened to him. He was a decade ago. And there was a point where I was like, I probably listen to this human more than anyone else, more than my friends, anyone else that's not a family member, because this was, years and years ago before he got super famous on Spotify. And it was like, yeah, sometimes I'm going to hear the same exact things. If it's only just Joe Rogan talking, I know what Joe talks about. Bear attacks and cougars and, pyramids. It's hearing the guests that he could get on. Second thing I want to do, if you're building a real estate community, that first is to be a great facilitator, give it away. I want to build an army of real estate agents and investors who see value in bringing me deals, listings, and opportunities. And why is that? Because I can help them in some way. We've set ourselves up as our goal is to be the nicest guys, me and Corey here. We want to be the nicest guys in Knoxville. We want to be the most well-liked, and we want to be the most competent. So running a real estate community does all those things. I'm clearly competent because I'm bringing in experts. So I also have authority because I'm in front of the room, right? And there's two great books, Jab, 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 Right Hook. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about that, right? Value, value, value. And then I'm asking for some sort of conversion. Or The Go-Giver, an amazing book, right? Basically, like the more that I give, the more that comes back to me. Okay? One of the things I have failed to do is I haven't told people always how to reward me when I'm being kind to them. I haven't said, hey, right, by the way, everyone knows, like, I love dark chocolate. I'm crazy about dark chocolate. I had a friend, he's passed. Tut, I'm not wearing it because it broke, one of my ones, but I wear this Mickey Mouse watch in memory of him. Tut was this gigantic DJ that I knew. Tut loved Adidas and Tut loved Mickey Mouse. And I saw Tut get more presents than most people that I know. Because it's before the internet, right? So he's like, oh, yo, if you see something, if you see some amazing Adidas, like, get them, I'll buy them from you, right? If you get these shell toes with the snakeskin print on them. Anyways, because he's very easy to shop for. I know he loved the color green, right? It's very easy. If you don't know Mark Court, Mark loves blue and fast cars and James Bond, Steve McQueen. Not so much for guess, but anything blue, I know I'm doing well with Mark. I could buy him something blue and it's gonna rock. I will have hit the mark because it's very clear what he's interested in. For us specifically, though, I need to be, hey, think of me for your Tampa referrals. Isabel, think of me for your DC referrals, right? Someone called me yesterday because I'm always saying I'm looking for info lots in the city. So I got a call. He says, hey, always in your name tag, it says you're looking for info lots. Do you want this info lot? Because I'm being specific about what I'm asking for with inside my community, right? There's 4 different types of real estate investors. And you got to figure out how you structure win-win agreements with each one of these. All right? Because they're different in what they're looking for. We're going to run through these, but the universal, everyone that comes in your room wants a better life, and every single person wants more time, more money, more personal freedom, and everyone that you meet wants deeper and more intimate relationships. Here's one reason to build a community. During COVID, they did some research, and so social scientists have research they do on bonds. I've heard these called weak bonds and strong bonds, and I've also heard them called primary, secondary, tertiary, depending on like the research that's being done, right? Strong bonds are with your family, your intimate circle, etc. So during COVID, obviously, right, lots of people quarantined. Some states people were like quarantining in bubbles. If you're in Florida or in Tennessee, COVID doesn't exist in the sunshine, so we're not shut down. But people, what they found was that in doing this research, the weak bonds or the tertiary bonds really affected people. And what those are a tertiary relationship is someone that goes to the same coffee shop as you, someone that goes to the same workout class as you, someone that you see at the grocery store consistently. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Those recurring characters in your life that make you feel like you're part of a community, the same faces. When we stop seeing those, we feel disconnected. Separately, if you look at the social research, every single person, like we got an epidemic of loneliness, and this has been just trending that way. They started talking about it in the 50s when they created suburbs and we all moved out of like tenement buildings. If you go back to, our grandparents' generation, everyone married someone like on their block. If you look at the amount of people in the city that married someone from their building, it's crazy. Like, it's proximity. Proximity is what created intimacy, which created these relationships. So there's some cool books about that. There's A Lonely Crowd, Bowling Alone. You can kind of track this over time. But statistically, everyone that you meet is looking for more connection and is looking for deeper connections. And there's certainly, right, an epidemic of male loneliness. So people are looking to be in relationship. And by building a community, I've seen, this is a picture of, we did a mountaintop mastermind and all these people showed up to hike with us. And because I called it a mastermind, then when I asked them what they were grateful for, what they were challenged with or whatever, people opened up, got vulnerable, and we had really honest conversations. So here's your 4 kinds of investors that you're looking to build a relationship with. My newbie investor, right? What they really want is knowledge and access. If they don't know what they don't know, okay, they might want a deal. They're not ready for a deal, right? They really need some guidance. They need someone to teach them the rules of the game. So I got to make sure my community is servicing that. I've got my active income investor. That is that person who's our bread and butter, right? My full-time investor. So what they're really looking for is 30, 60, 90-day cash flow. That's also who's taking these freaking skinny deals to keep their contractors busy, right? My rehabbers, my builders, my developers, my wholesalers, they make their income directly off of investing. So they constantly have to do deals. So clearly they're looking for deals and access to money. So can I make sure I have capital in the room for them? And do I have somebody that's got some sort of deal flow? Hey, come to my room. But really what they need is, how do I do what I'm doing better and faster? How do I take my flip, this individual flip thing and create a real business out of it? How do I scale what I'm doing as a wholesaler? What are the systems and tools I need as a rehabber? That's what they're looking for. That's what's going to make them attractive. So can I get an expert in the room, or can I provide that information that's going to tell them, hey, here's how I went from doing 6 deals a year to 20 deals a year, 100 deals a year. I'm going to share this. Has anybody heard, Isabel, Mark, I don't know if Jason's still around, has anybody heard of the concept of footprints in the snow? So here's the idea. If I'm following along in a snowstorm and Isabel and Mark are out there, right? Isabel started out, 3 hours ago, and Mark started out 15 minutes ago. I can't follow Isabel. The snow will have covered her tracks, right? I need to follow someone that's just far enough along for me that I can see what's going on. Like I can follow in their steps. So sometimes one of the dangers of that RIA model is like people come in there and they've got 1,000 houses and like, what is it? Well, I bought property in 2012, or I bought property in 2008, or I bought it right before COVID, in the beginning of COVID when everyone was scared. Have a time machine. As opposed to, man, can I find somebody that's doubling what I'm doing? So that's having different levels of experts in your room really, really helps. My third category, right, is what's my buy and hold or my passive income investor? Maybe it's somebody with a W-2, right? They've got stable income. They're looking to invest elsewhere, right? They've got a long-term strategy, might be a high C if we're using the DISC model, right? They may know about the numbers than you, but who's my passive income investor? And they want to build wealth over time, right? 2 great books for these folks: Hold, millionaire real estate investor. Those are both great gifts for my buy and hold passive income investor. And the last person in the room, this is actually Greg, is the guy who called about this lot I was just talking about. And I was talking to him this morning about this lot. Like, so who are my private lenders? Who are my creative deal makers? Who's doing subject to? Who's doing lease options? Who's doing notes, right? Those are the people like I need in the room to provide capital. And what they really want to do is, how can I structure a deal? How can I minimize risk? They're kind of obsessed with doing those. If I can hit all four of those and build relationships with them, I've got a complete ecosystem. Whether I've got a community of 12 people or of 1,200 people, that is enough for us to click along and all make money. Because everything that I need to do exists in that one room. Basically, here's the one thing that they all share in common. They don't know this. Every single person in there needs a lead generation machine. It's the disappointing thing. Who on this call is an agent, by the way? I don't know if Latrice or Clement or Corey are agents. I know Mark's an agent, Isabel's an agent. You go to real estate school and you get your license and you like showing houses or you're interested in architecture, right? And then you find out that no one talked to you about this in real estate school. Like the whole job is, how do I make the phone ring? How do I go lead generate? Every single person in there needs a lead generation machine, right? So here's what I've seen that's been really effective for us. As I've articulated this to people, we've explained this to people, is when we build a community, I build a platform and everybody in the platform equally benefits. Does that make sense? Right? If we've got a community with like a thriving message board, then Mark, I benefit because Mark, I benefit. We're putting properties on there, but also like the rehabber that's looking for a deal benefits because he's got a little platform he can set up and say, here's what I do. My contractor benefits, same thing. Like everyone benefits when I create a platform where we all know, hey, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to talk about real estate investing, and please talk to me about real estate investing. I'm going to have a little name tag that's going to tell you exactly, who I'm looking to meet, right? And so please, if you're a contractor, come talk to me. It says right here, I want to meet a contractor. So everybody in there is in that marketing business. We're building this to build our business. They're doing it for them. I just try to explain. I'm a big believer in explaining the freaking obvious. So here's the hooks. Here's what everyone is looking to do. If I've got a newbie investor, I want to teach them the basics and I want to make it very clear, hey, while you're trying to do this, here's the fastest way to make money with no money. It's not to go wholesale. It's not to run some trick. It's not to structure notes or find stuff subject to. That is not the fastest way. The fastest way is like find any kind of an opportunity and bring it to someone like myself that's seasoned and trustworthy. And I will go run the play with you, include you as part of the deal, and you can learn along the way. And oh, by the way, if you want to, you can go ahead and get licensed, right? Lots of folks are investing before they got their license, right? Rob started Grid because he just wanted to start collecting referral fees on all the deals that he was doing on the investing side. So great opportunity there with my newbie investors. Like, should they keep running the same exact agent investor play? Or can I be teaching them right on how to do this? Can I turn them into a bird dog? Someone's bringing deals to me. So my active income investor, a couple different ways. If I'm working with that person, here's what I'm doing. I am not hunting for deals for someone that's looking to buy stuff 70 cents on the dollar. I don't know about y'all. If I find stuff for 70 cents on the dollar, I am buying that. So here's what we have done just recently. We partnered with a local wholesaler. They had 100 leads that were orphaned that they couldn't convert. They've given them to us. They have someone licensed on their team. I've got my ISA department working on that. I think Corey's going on 4 appointments this week out of these. And we're just going to pay them a referral fee based off of their turned down business. If you take one thing out of this call, hear this. Wholesalers, this is like shocking. It's like more than 75% of these turned down leads sell their home within 6 months. when 75% of these turn-in leads sell their home within 6 months. That's the greatest untapped source of deals in the market right now, I think. Right? If the wholesaler is doing volume, maybe I can list their property at a discount. Get all of their business to go turn around and convert it. We've been listing novations for some people. That's been a good lead source for us. We can go target that distressed asset. So maybe I set up an acquisition company. My friend Caleb Davis, who's a grid leader, runs an acquisition company. So he's creating their own inventory and bringing it to these folks, right? And these wholesalers are bringing us deals that I can then pair for myself or pair with my buyers. But I would not go hunting for deals for these people. You will go broke. Unless you're going to be an equity partner of some kind. The money does not make sense in hunting for deals like this for someone that's going to buy them 70 cents on the dollar, minus renovations. My buy and hold investors, right? I can go ahead and partner with them and do a syndication with them. Those are people that want real estate. They don't want to be involved in real estate. That's who's seeing the Grant Cardone videos. That's who's investing in real estate investment trusts, right? But I can certainly partner and I can syndicate a deal with them. And a syndication doesn't have to be like this crazy. It doesn't have to be as big as we'll make it. We could do a syndication with everybody that's on this call. I think if everyone was on this call and participating, I was talking in this room, I could probably source from experience 100K in capital pretty quickly. If there's 5 investors on here. And so then we could go partner and run a play. Pretty simply. So that group, I'm telling those folks, hey, come bring me a deal. I'm looking for opportunities. By the way, if you're interested, I always have opportunities I'm looking for additional capital partners on. And then my private lender, right? Private lenders are great sponsors if you start a real estate community, and they're big beneficiaries of the network. Okay? Private lenders will offer referral fees if you refer them business. So they want to be in your network. They will pay to be part of your network. More importantly, they'll pay you a referral fee for anyone that's doing deals inside of your network. So that's how I would partner with those. Your creative deal makers are bringing you deals. So there's an opportunity there to be a middleman, right? With all those people over here, my buy and holds that are looking to syndicate capital. Well, now I've got some creative deals to present to them. And I certainly have private lenders that joint venture with me, right? Are going to give me referral fees for what they're doing in there. So I want to have a collaborative model. You know, just looking at this, Jamie is another real estate agent. I used to run his team. Yeah, Corey and I were on his team. So I have Jamie on stage with me, right? He does commercial, he does residential, he is a new builder, right? Collaboration is the key. Private money lender here. Hunter here, there's a group of wholesalers. He's just listed they just got their first deal in the market, actually, right? But I want to have investors in the room. I want to create a space where we're collaborating and not competing. And so when I do that, what I found is I get more deal flow. I don't get every single deal that comes in the room, but the volume is way higher. Yeah, Mark.
I have a question for you, and I've noticed you seem to do this very well at your grid chapter in Knoxville. So I've had some success at getting sponsors. Your sponsors seem to be very active in your group, very active in organization, very active in promoting, and very active in like setup. How do you keep them motivated? And how do you constantly keep everybody energetic? And how do you accomplish this?
Awesome.
And your team, I should say, we should give Corey and some other people on your team some credit too. But obviously,
Yeah.
very good at this.
No. So the real answer is perception is reality, right? So we've got a group, we've been building the group for 3 years. You see people up there that are participating. You don't see half of my sponsors that are not participating. I love Chris. Chris cannot stay in the freaking country when I'm doing grid. That's my private money lender. He's never around. Love him, but he's just not, which is whatever. That's his own thing. The mortgage company I'm at, I had to like hit them over the head to like, would you stay? Sometimes everyone leaves before anyone even does a commercial for the thing, right? But it's okay. I got the great space. I've got my other vendors. You see the other vendors that are like showing up. Some of those I would say like my title company. I've built deep relationships with my title company. We run that Pints for Purpose together.
Mhm.
I'm around them all the time. So it's easy to be like, hey, I need you to show up here to do this thing. Also for some of my sponsors, I've been very intentional about bringing them their audience. So for my mortgage guys, I'm like, there are other agents in the room. You need to be here. Like I'm bringing other agents here. That's the value. Is like, sure, maybe a couple people are going to refinance, but you could go get this purchase business if you go build relationships with these agents. So it's making it dummy proof for them, sending all of my sponsors like all of the information they need to market it. They personally reminding them to come out. And then what I do when they're there though, is I force them to engage. I am the master of making people participate, right? So play, because here's the way that I look at it. Hey, Silvana, I'm glad you're here. Let us know where you're from. If you want to come on camera, you can participate and you can talk. I'd love to know what brought you here today. But I look at it like this. If you came in the room to listen to me speak and you're here at a networking meeting, you're going to network. Unless you really refuse to do so, like I'm putting on this event for free. I'm feeding you. I got drinks. You're going to sign in. You're going to put a name tag on. You're going to play all in there. And so with the sponsors, it's just coaching them on why. Like they don't get it sometimes on like the value and hey, I need you in the room so people can put a face to a name. And I need you not to post your flyer in the group. I need you to post a picture of your face in the group and humanize yourself, right? So people know to call you. But dude, it looks good. I got people on my real estate team asking me they don't have the contact information for my property manager. And they're recommending some rando. And I'm like, the property manager is one of my closest friends. You know, I've known her for 13 years and she manages 1,100 units in Knoxville. Like, why are you recommending this guy with 10? So it's a mixed bag. So I love it. I love it. It's what you saw, but I've got 7 sponsors, so I can get 3 of them I know will show up and participate. So just keep adding. I would say what's interesting too is in the group I've had recently a bunch of new people who haven't 87 people, but I had 41 new people. So I'm like, there's churn. So I got to keep going back and inviting the old people in and make sure I'm capturing the new people, right? Here's the lowest hanging fruit in the room. All of these people have friends, have families, are going to make a move. That is why we advocate being an agent investor, because this is a great way to build your sphere, your residential sphere. There's lots of ordinary folks in the room that need to transact that you could be getting business from. Insurance agents, mortgage brokers, someone's got to get that business. And I have found like we have earned a surprising amount because we're adding a lot we're just interacting with people way more often. Someone sent me a message the other day. I'm inviting him to grade all the time. And he's like, you text me more than 80% of my friends. Can we have a conversation? I'm 30. I'm not sure what I'm doing with my life, but like you text me more often than those other people. So other thing you can do is you can run other verticals off of those if you have a community, right? I can start a property management company. I can start other real estate expansions. I can invest in partnerships. I can have an LLC. I can run a construction business, right? And this is just Rob's example. That's what Rob runs. Rob has 17 entities. From running that agent business. And why is that? If you don't know the math, and this is pretty interesting, if you're a real estate agent, you do a $400,000 transaction and there's a 2.5% commission, you make $10,000. Commission is totally negotiable. I'm just using some easy math, right? That $400,000 commission generates $20,000 in additional revenue between title, between mortgage, insurance, home warranty, landscaping, pool service, roofing, right? All those affiliated businesses, AC, like it's going to generate $20,000 in revenue. That's like the ecosystem. It's also why like having an agent at the center is like so important, I think, because the agent, whether they want to or not, always ends up being the ringleader of the transaction. It is maddening. Mark and I talk about this where it's like, I don't know why the title company and the mortgage company, they do this every month, need me in the middle of their conversations, but they seem to, right? You end up being the ringleader because we have that fiduciary responsibility. It's our privilege, and it's sometimes if you don't have good systems, right? So you're in the room. What happens is like when I'm in the center of the room, I get to change everyone's life. Like if I just step up and I'm a little selfless, right? We can change some lives through real estate because what I'm seeing is I see my vendors start investing and taking action and collaborating and people starting businesses. And that's been really fascinating. Even in 3 years, I can show you lots of people whose lives have changed. I get these messages now. It's happening weekly, it was like monthly, right? Of people that are like, oh yeah, no, that's all because I came in grid and I started changing these things and taking action. So how do you attract real estate agents and investors to yourself? Like, what do you want to do first thing? So get public. Go out there and get public. We use the Meetup platform. The Meetup platform, right, has been successful and like people tracking us down. If you're interested, you know, someone came to our meeting last month and they're launching a grid community. I sent them paperwork yesterday. So they're going to be launching in November. We've got some hooks that are already set. What we're doing is going to amplify those on social media. So we're recording all of our long form videos. All right. And with our long form videos, we are creating short hooks with that I can share on social media. That's a proven success strategy. So long form content, short hooks. I put those on social media, right? If I'm running an in-person event, what we've been able to do is like I've got people that are pre-registered. So I am simultaneously building influence in the room, but more importantly, I am pushing this out. We run a meeting, it takes us 1.5 to 3 hours a month. 30-minute intro, 60 minutes of training, 40 minutes of networking. For us, we do a lot of networking before and after. And I'd recommend doing it hybrid, doing it in person and streaming it online, because people that see the stream, there's FOMO, it gets those things, right? The way I do this inside of Grid, I've got an entire portal. Like the reason I've been able to do this so quickly, I'm a big believer in leadership, and Isabel's on here, Mark's on here from Grid, is I've got all this done for me already. The branding is done, right? The slides are already done. There's training. So this is Mark training on how to teach the content. That's already all done for me in my background, so I don't have to think about it. My media and marketing is done because it's a national network, so the brand is a lot stronger. I'd say that the brand makes a gigantic difference. Would you agree, Mark, in just launching a new community and like adding credibility? When people see the brand, it's just sexy. It's different than just like I'm starting a real estate meetup. It's like I'm part of a national network. That's been a very different conversation with folks.
Yeah, I would say just having the framework alone, right? And I don't utilize enough of the tools you guys provide from Grid, and we're slowly getting better at that. But just the framework alone and the marketing materials, the base, the Canva templates, all of it, super helpful, especially for somebody like me who's busy and running around like my hair's on fire all the time. So I can do things much faster because of it.
We've got a series of masterminds. This is so funny. Great job, Julianne. This is from Monday. This is Nick and Corey on this call on Monday. Our grid partner mastermind on how to create wealth by doing joint ventures and partnerships with your grid community. So we're doing masterminds, right? And then sponsorship dollars, like, right? We've been very effective. Our group pays for itself through sponsorship. It's one of the things that Corey asked about. I mean, that Mark asked about. And if you're interested in getting started, one of the things you could do, if you're curious about this, if you're not ready to start a real estate community, we've got an agent investor certification. 8 weeks teach you how to be an agent investor. Pretty fantastic. It's a course we're going to be re-releasing here. Relaunching that next week, this week. It's coming imminently. It'll be out before October 1st. Grid AI, like totally launching it to the whole community. It's about ready to launch to everyone, right? I'm gonna say yes. I see Brittany and Rhea looking at me, but yes. Like we've just been waiting to put the finishing touches on this. So if you're interested in learning, there are some courses to do that. So we're gonna build 1,000 people because we have a mission to get 1 million people financially free. If you have questions about anything, if you want to know, you're too shy to ask questions here, you've got my contact info. I'm going to email out this recording to everybody. Feel free to reach out to me. Maybe you want to do something smaller. Maybe you want to start like an investing book club or something. I'm happy to mastermind and chat about it. And I know there's other leaders on here like Isabel or Mark that'd be happy to jump on. We've done this before too, of like, hey, I'm jumping on to talk to Corey about this. If anyone's free, if you want to share your insight. One of the things I'll leave you with is one of the ways I built a national referral network was by turning things into collaborative masterminds. It's amazing. Like what a great way to create connection and trust with people. So I appreciate you all coming out today. You've got my info. Hopefully that gives you some insight. And the simplest thing, honestly, if you want to run this playbook, Grid is a business in the box that is a set it and forget it. We've got it done. We can have you launched. I came down and helped Mark launch his community, right? In a very short amount of time. It is highly effective, but let's have a conversation. Like Mark came up and saw mine first, and we talked about it for some months before we did it. But I'm happy to do it. I'm a believer that we have the best product on the market in terms of building community.